Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology with horoscopes inspired by the moon. Let me be your guide. Today you're watching your astrology horoscope for the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, which occurs on Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 12:13 a.m. Eastern Time or the day prior, 9:13 p.m. Pacific Time on Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. Now, what I think is going on here at this new moon solar eclipse in Aries is that we're trying to step more fully into a new, different, and better chapter of life that we've been working towards for quite some time. That's now finally here in a more masterful way. That's more diligent and that's more intentional, but us really struggling to do that and really resisting doing that because we would rather be going fast, doing whatever we wanted to, just enjoying life here. That I think is bringing a lot of big frustrations and big challenges and confusion about how best to proceed, and possibly even some arguments with others that we're going to have to learn how to work around in order to move forward. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please stay tuned because we're going to hop into it right now. In order to get started, what I like to do first is just place on the chart what it is that I'm referring to here so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that now. A new moon, here it is on the chart. We've got the sun and the moon here at the same degree in the same sign of Aries. And when that happens, that does make it a new moon. Not only that, but we've got the sun and the moon here for this new moon in very close proximity to the nodal axis. And in this case, the north node here about 5 degrees away in Taurus. And that is what makes it here a solar eclipse that's going on. So I've got this chart set for the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, which I need to note is a total eclipse that's going on, especially because the new moon is very close to the north node. If it were further away, it might be considered more partial. Okay, now, what is this about here? This new moon solar eclipse in Aries? Well, new moons are all about new beginnings, new energy, and fresh starts. And solar eclipse is superpower that to make that a super big new beginning or a super big and significant new energy and fresh start in some kind of way here. What are we getting this new beginning, significant new beginning, new energy, and fresh start in? Well, the eclipse is in the sign of Aries here at the very last degree. Aries is a lot about our identity, who we are, being a Mars ruled sign, and also too about our actions and behaviors, how we do things in our life. Not only that, but it is the first sign of the zodiac here, which is also about new beginnings and new cycles and doing things in a different way. So not only is this new moon solar eclipse in Aries about us getting a significant new beginning in our identity and in how we do things in life, but to do things and be very different than I think how we used to be and do things prior to this point. Not only that, but Aries is a fire sign, which does tend to be more passionate, more excitable in a lot of ways. Aries also too can have a lot to do with courage and strength as well. So big new beginning here in our identity and how we behave to be very different than what it was before here, with more courage and passion and strength in order to move it forward. Not only that, but other things that I want to note about this new moon solar eclipse is that it is at the 29th degree, which is the last degree here of the sign of a sign that's going on. And that I need to note is a very intense degree that's going on, which is also a bit uncomfortable, I need to note as well. Not only is it in a very intense degree that's uncomfortable, but it's intense because the last degree is really charged with kind of learning the lessons of the entire sign here and mastering those lessons or approaching things in a more masterful kind of way as we move forward. That's more, I don't know if these are the right words, but this is kind of the thought that's more controlled or more respectful, with more intentional, with more of the long-term best interest in mind that's going on here. So not only to continue bringing it together is this new moon solar eclipse in Aries about us getting some very big, significant new beginning in our identity and our behaviors to be very different than they were before, with more courage and passion and strength to do it. But it's also us trying to master or step into a more masterful approach, way of doing things, identity here that's much better for our situation, and we'll get a much better result for it as we move forward. Not only that, but I do need to note another thing about this new moon solar eclipse in Aries too, which is that even though the new moon itself is in the sign of Aries here, as you can see at the last degree, the node which is making it eclipse here is still in the sign of Taurus. I hate it when that happens because it sends mixed messages. Is this an eclipse in Aries? Is this Taurus? What is this? But the way that I'm going to interpret this, just my opinion here, is that the more masterful approach to moving forward in a new experience with a new identity and a new way of being is more of those Taurus themes, especially with Mercury about to go retrograde very soon after this eclipse. And Taurus themes, where the North Node and Mercury is about to go retrograde, is it's a slower sign, being fixed, Earth, correlated to Venus. It's also one about stability and security and aligning more with your needs and values. And it's also one about being thrifty, which means saving money here that's going on, and being self-reliant, which means distancing yourself from people in your life who are not stable forces and are not in alignment with you as well. So to continue this, because eclipses are a big deal, the main themes here for this new moon and solar eclipse in Aries is that we're stepping into a very significant new beginning in our identity and in our behaviors and in how we approach the world that's very different than what it was prior to this point here. And that is meant to be more masterful, more in control and in charge of our environment in order to get the best results here as we move forward, and more courageous and strong. And that more masterful approach that we're trying to step into with this new identity and new way of doing things is one that's slower, more stable, more secure, more in alignment with our needs and values here at this time. That is one where we're being thrifty, saving money, and being more self-reliant here, and not associating with people who are not in our best interest here or who are bringing us down, okay? Especially too, because if you want to think about the Aries is a very independent sign. It doesn't mess with people. It doesn't mess with people that are in its best interest here, and this stuff that isn't going to work. So it's a lot of those themes to me that are coming in together here at this time. Okay. And I think that's all that I want to say for now about the big themes here of this new moon solar eclipse. But before I get more into the details about it and how it's going to play out as we move forward, I do just like to go backwards in time for a minute here in order to better give you the context of how we got here and of why these themes are now coming up to be felt, lived through, and experienced at this time. So I'm going to do that. And to do that, I'm going to go back quite a bit to some random dates in the past. I need to shorten this section because now it's getting kind of long, but until I figure out how to do that, we're going to keep going back here. And I want to go all the way back to January, the beginning, January to April, I'll say, of the year 2020. Okay, at that time, we had Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn make a conjunction here around the middle to late degrees of the sign of Capricorn. Now, that was a very rare and uncomfortable alignment. That was very rare because Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct about every 35 years, and not always with Jupiter there, and uncomfortable because Saturn and Pluto are Saturn and Pluto, which tend to bring more difficult experiences here, and because Jupiter doesn't really help that. Excuse me, too much. Excuse me, too much in that instance. Okay, so this is a bit of a challenge. What was the challenge there? Well, I think what happened between January to April of 2020 is that we realized that there were a lot of things in our life that we didn't like and that were uncomfortable, that we needed to make big Jupiter change Pluto in the structure of our lives, Saturn and Capricorn, in order to overcome. Not only that, but I also believe that in 2020, we started that process of making big changes to end and leave things behind that were no longer working for us. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention, which occurred last year. Here also, I believe around April of 2022, we had a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus right about here. What was that about? Well, again, new moons are about new beginnings. Solar eclipses superpower that. And Taurus is a sign of fertility and abundance here. that's going on. So I think in April of 2022, we started to more fully step into a different, better experience of life that was more fertile, more abundant, especially after ending and changing and leaving a lot of things behind in the 2 years prior here that we did not like and that were not good for us. Okay, which I thought was great. And that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened 2 weeks after that new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, also, I believe, around April of 2022. And that was a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign here of Scorpio, and on the south node. And that was a little bit of a challenging alignment here. Sure, because sometimes full moons can be a little more challenging than the new moons, but especially because it was on the south node. And the south node does tend to bring a feeling of being stuck and held back, unable to move forward here. Not only does it tend to bring that, but it also tends to bring a lot of things that need to be let go of and released before we can move forward in the ways that it is that we need. So this was us feeling stuck now that we were in a better experience of life and unable to move it forward because we needed to release a lot of things that were not helpful to us. What did we need to release? Well, the lunar eclipse was in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is a lot about traumatic emotions that are tumultuous and uncomfortable. We needed to kind of release and heal some of those. Scorpio is also too about spending money, so we needed to stop some of that. It's also as well about associating really closely with people, perhaps even people that maybe aren't in our best interest. And it's also as well about making big change. We needed to let go, stop making as many changes in our lives here so that we can settle into this better experience here that is going on. Not only did we need to let go of that, but with the North Node here in Taurus, we needed to adopt different traits and tendencies like being slower, Taurus, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, saving money, distancing from people, and honoring more of our needs and values. And we needed to do that because that's how you build something new that you've never experienced before. You don't build something new by associating with the wrong people, by spending all this crazy money, by doing whatever you want to do. No, you build something new when you don't know what you're doing by going slow and being cautious here as you bring more things together. Okay, and I think that was an interesting thing to realize in April of 2022. But even though that was an interesting thing to realize in April of 2022, I don't think we fully got it through our heads. What exactly that meant and what exactly that was all about until actually the end of last year, December of 2022, into the beginning of this year, January of 2023. At that time, here Mercury went retrograde in Capricorn, the same spot that Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, the same degrees, made a conjunction here in 2020. And I think with that Mercury retrograde, was us finally starting to realize here what different behaviors were needed in order to move forward in this new experience of life, which is to be slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, here to save money, stop spending as much, and to distance ourselves from people and things that are just no longer in alignment with us. And I think we started to make more changes and fix more things in order to get to that. Okay, and because that's what happened just a few weeks ago, I believe it was March of this year, then Saturn moved into Pisces and Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius. And what that brought when Saturn moved into Pisces is us feeling like the past and the old habits and old tendencies were leaving and on their way out. And that finally, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, a new future, new experiences that are more exciting and more authentic and more liberating us could finally begin more fully, especially to get on the road of this new experience in life here that occurred, that we've been trying to get to since 2020, which I think was a good thing. And this new moon solar eclipse, of which this video is for, is us now back again at a new and better experience of life that we've been trying to work towards since 2020 and trying to figure out how to move it forward now that it's more officially here in a more masterful way here with a correct and proper approach, still with the slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant thing that we've been trying to learn here in order to bring more things together here and make sure we're building this new experience right and not falling back into any pitfalls from the past here that may have been going on. Okay, and that's it, because that was a lot. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to figure out how to cut that down, what to cut out soon. But because that was a lot, I'm just going to repeat that one last time before we move on. What I think is going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Aries is that we're trying to figure out how to move forward into a new, different, and better experience of life that we've been working towards for quite some time, since 2020, that in the past few weeks in particular has now finally arrived more fully. And we're trying to figure out how to do that in the more masterful, responsible, intelligent, intentional way that's going to get us the best results here as we move forward, which I believe is still slow, stable, secure, thrifty, saving money, self-reliant, distancing ourselves from people that are no longer in our best interest. Okay, especially after struggling to get to this point for the past few years. Okay, and that's it. Because that's all I'm going to say there about the context, I'm now going to move forward in time so that you can see more specifically here how that theme that I just described is going to play out as we move forward, or not forward in time. That's other videos I do. I'm now going to go into more of the details about this new moon solar eclipse here. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to start with the aspects in particular that the new moon eclipse itself is making. So let's take a look at that. Here's the new moon solar eclipse on the chart. I have it circled, and one of the aspects, and I think this is the most important aspect that it's making, is a square to Pluto over here, which, even though it's slightly out of sign, but definitely with an orb, to Pluto, which very recently entered the sign of Aquarius and is about to go retrograde in about 2 weeks. Okay, what is this? Now, this is a very challenging alignment here. This is a very challenging alignment because it is an eclipse, right? Eclipses are very intense, a lot of energy, and the eclipse just happens to be at the last degree of a sign, which is also a very intense degree of mastery here. And also, too, because it's connecting by square. Squares are difficult aspects to Pluto, which can be extremely difficult, especially by hard aspect as well. So this, to me, is an extremely challenging alignment. I don't know how else to put it. Like, this is not a walk in the park here. This one's very difficult. And I do think this solar eclipse is a very difficult one. Okay, obviously. What is the challenge here? Well, Pluto likes permanent change and transformation here. That's its highest purpose when it's functioning well. But when it's by hard aspect, what tends to happen is that we resist. We start to resist change and resist the necessary transformation here that needs to happen in order for us to move forward in the way that we might need. Not only do we resist change and transformation, but sometimes Pluto can project things onto stuff outside of ourselves, making us feel like we can't move forward and make the changes we need because things in our environment aren't working out in the way that we might like. Okay, not only can Pluto by hard aspect bring resistance to change and transformation here, and us projecting that on other people and things instead of realizing that it's really an internal problem and an internal issue that we've got going on here, but it can also create, because of that, a lot of internal frustration here, a lot of feeling stuck. It can also create as well feeling torn inside about what to do and what not to do, and it can create as well some sort of confusion, right? If we're feeling torn inside, confused and uncertain about our next steps here, stuck. I said that it can also bring as well some sense of frustration and anger at ourselves and possibly arguments with other people, especially if we're perceiving the problem to be outside of ourselves when really the problem is inside here. That's going on. Okay, what is it? What change and transformation are we resisting here at this time? Well, I think that's creating all these uncomfortable issues. Well, I think the change and transformation that we're resisting is the 29th degree Aries, where the solar eclipse is, and the Taurus stuff, because technically this square is official when it's in Taurus, right? The Taurus square to the Aquarius here. So I think we're resisting both of those. What is that? Well, a 29 degrees Aries is the mastery portion, mastering our behaviors, not just acting in any old way, but acting more masterfully, more refined, more controlled. I think we're resisting that. Not only do I think we're resisting that, but the Taurus, slow, stable, secure, saving money, thrifty, self-reliant, distancing ourselves from other people that aren't good for us. I think we're also resisting doing those things here that need to be done in order for us to move forward. Okay, that's what I think is going on. Why are we resisting being more masterful and slowing down, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, and are feeling torn and frustrated and mad and angry at ourselves and other people and projecting problems outside of ourselves in the world? Well, the reason why that usually happens is typically because of Pluto, because Pluto can bring too much of our focus and our desire to some area of our life that can be a little overwhelming and a little unbalanced here, and therefore unhelpful. So I think part of the reason why we're resisting being more masterful is because of the Pluto in Aquarius stuff. Too much. We're doing too much of the Aquarius. What is the Aquarius about? Well, Aquarius in a lot of ways is about the future. It's very forward thinking. So we're resisting slowing down, being more masterful, because we want to be in the future. We want to be future me, future us. We want to be in the future, better circumstances, new experience, and not having to worry about slowing down and being serious and all this other stuff that's going on. Okay. Not only that, but Aquarius too is an air sign. It's a lot about ideas, unique, revolutionary ideas that's going on. So it's very possible that we also might not want to slow down and be more masterful because we've got all these ideas in our mind about things we want to do that we're excited about now that we're in a new experience of life here, and we don't want to slow down here on all of these ideas. We'd rather be thinking about them or moving forward on them and things like that that's going on. Another reason as well is because, again, with Aquarius being an air sign, the logic, while Mercury is about to go retrograde, we can be too much in our heads here that's going on and kind of neglecting other things that need to happen. That can be a bit of a challenge. Aquarius as well is also about detaching from things. So we could also as well just not want to deal. I just don't want to deal with the slow and the serious. I want to detach and do other stuff. And it's also about socializing and being out and about with other people and friends. So we could also not want to focus on ourselves and distancing ourselves from other people that aren't good for us. We could just want to socialize and be with whoever, that could also be a bit of a challenge here too. And Aquarius as well is also about freedom, right? We just want to be free to do whatever we want to do without having to be more thoughtful or masterful about it all here at this time. That's also a bit hard. So do you see what's going on here? Maybe to bring this alignment together. What's going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Aries so far is that we're trying to continue moving into a new, different, better experience of life that's recently arrived more fully here in a more masterful way, that's more disciplined and more controlled and going to get us a better result, and also happens to be slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, saving money, distancing ourselves from people, etc. And that's a very good thing here to want to do in order to move forward. But even though it's a very good thing to do, we're finding it hard to do because we ourselves are resisting it, resisting the more masterful approach, slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, etc., etc. And we're resisting it because we would rather just be chilling, detaching at the future, having fun, pursuing all these ideas that we want to pursue, socializing with people, free, without having to worry about these other more serious concerns. And because of that, what's going on is that we're feeling very stuck, maybe confused, uncertain about what to do next. Here, we're also feeling frustrated and angry at ourselves and possibly other people, and creating arguments because some of us might be projecting our own issues, resistances onto other people as stopping us from moving forward when they're really not. We just need to slow down. Okay, that can be very, very difficult here. Okay, especially I need to note as well, because even at the time of this eclipse, I don't want to focus on this alignment too much, but at the time of this eclipse, Mars is also in a square with Chiron in Aries, which is also very difficult because Mars is the ruler of the new moon solar eclipse, which is in Aries. Aries and Mars are correlated, and we've got Mars here in Cancer, a sign it does not like to be in, making a square, a hard aspect to Chiron. So this is also very uncomfortable to me, bringing more stuckness, more difficulty moving forward. Here, more frustration here that's going on within ourselves. So multiple indicators of that. And not only this, but Cancer is very sensitive. So this could even bring insult to injury. This could even make very vulnerable, triggered emotions, and also make us very worried and doubtful, especially with the Chiron being hard, that we're ever going to be able to make something work or feel more grounded, Cancer, more safe, with a more firm foundation in this better experience of life that's going on. So a lot of challenging things here, not just the square to Pluto, even though that to me is huge, but also this alignment as well. Okay, and because that's what's going on, I think I now want to shift to some advice here, some advice. And I want to shift to some advice because of the next alignment here that I want to talk about with this new moon solar eclipse. And that next alignment is going to be not only, obviously, as we've talked about, that the solar eclipse is square Pluto here, but also that this solar eclipse is making a conjunction here to Jupiter and Aries. It's less exact than the square to Pluto, but still happening. So I also want to look at that. Now, what is this all about? Here, Jupiter, maybe before I talk about the advice, okay, Jupiter, I tend to like, and I tend to think of as a good thing, but I do hear from a lot of you that Jupiter is not always that great from your experience. So Jupiter can potentially expand. Jupiter's the biggest planet, can potentially expand the issues that I just discussed and make them even bigger and more challenging than I already think they are, which I already think this eclipse is very challenging, okay? So keep that in mind. Multiple symbols here, challenging, okay? But even though this can exacerbate more of the issues, again, I like Jupiter, and I do think that Jupiter can be helpful here, so I want to use it as advice. In what way is Jupiter helpful? Well, Jupiter is about wisdom. It's about understanding, which translates into learning. Learning, that's what Jupiter is about. It's about learning from your mistakes, from your past, from other people, what isn't working, that's going on. Not only is Jupiter about wisdom, understanding, and learning, especially from past mistakes and things that aren't working here as well, it's also about synthesizing facts, synthesizing information to put it together, and I might even consider it about reflecting, right? Because it's hard to learn if you're not taking a minute to reflect on your situation and on what is happening here. So the advice that I want to give you here, which may happen naturally for some of you, but which may not for others of you, because this is a very hard eclipse, okay? The advice that I want to give you is to take a minute at this eclipse when you're feeling frustrated, when you're feeling upset, when you're feeling stuck, to slow down, calm down, and reflect and be aware. Reflect and be aware of your situation and of your behaviors and of your frustration and of what's going on, and to try your best to learn and to understand and to synthesize the information of what went wrong, what you aren't doing right, what you're learning, what the situation is trying to teach you here as you move forward. Not only do I want to recommend that, but Jupiter as well is also about new things or doing things differently and new approaches, especially with it being now in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. So not only is the advice that I want to give you here that if you're experiencing difficulties at this eclipse, which I think a lot of you are, to slow down and reflect on your situation, on your behaviors, to become more consciously aware and to try to synthesize what's going wrong and why here that's happening, but to formulate a new and different approach based on your learning and based on your understanding of your situation that's more useful here as you move forward. I also want to note that I believe that new approach that you need to form is more Taurus, because Jupiter's about to be in Taurus very soon in the next few weeks. Okay, so I think you need to think of a new approach, and I think that new approach most likely needs to be more slow, more stable, more secure, more saving money, more distancing yourself from people who are not in your best interest and are not aligning with you at this time, okay? Not only is that the advice that I want to give you here, but Jupiter is also more about the intuition. The intuition here and not the logic, okay? Especially with Mercury about to go retrograde after this and Pluto in Aquarius and air sign. So another piece of advice that I want to give you is not only when you're feeling frustrated at this solar eclipse to calm down and reflect on what is going wrong, why you're feeling the way you're feeling, what is happening, to understand it better and to learn from the things that are not going right, and to act and behave and be in a very different way. Slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant after this point here, but to tune into more of your intuition and the divine over your logical, analytical mind. Because I think if you can tune into your intuition and divine, it's going to put you right back here to slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, masterful approach. And it's going to put you more at ease around the situation and bring you more peace and optimism and help you come to terms with it much, much, much better as you move forward. forward here, especially as well, I need to note, because this solar eclipse is in a sextile roughly here to Saturn, which recently entered Pisces here. And Pisces is a lot about releasing the past, doing things differently. It's also too, with Saturn there, about becoming more aware of your self-sabotaging tendencies. So if you can slow down, reflect, tune into your intuition and the divine, and do a different approach, more slow, stable, secure, more masterful, I think it's going to help you feel more at peace, leave more old things behind here, and feel much better, and to move forward into a new, different, and better experience of life. Not fast, not flashy, but in little, tiny, small ways that are workable as you move forward. Okay, and I think that's all. I think that's all that I want to say. Is that? Yeah, because Pluto's about to go retrograde in Aquarius, and that's also not a symbol of moving forward fast into a different experience that we just got into with the Aquarius. So slow down, slow down. Slowing down doesn't mean staying stuck. Slowing down just means we're moving slowly into a different experience. All right, and that's it, because that's all I'm going to say now in terms of the astrological aspects here in this video. I'm just going to repeat all of those things one last time without the astrological jargon, so you can get a little bit of a different and better idea of what I think is going on here. So let me do that now. What I think is going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Aries is that we're trying to step into a new, different, and better experience of life that we've been working towards since 2020. That's recently arrived more fully in the past few weeks here, and we're trying to step into it with a more masterful approach here that's more intentional, that's more controlled, that's more disciplined here, and more slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, in order to get the best result here with this new experience and make it last the test of time as we move forward. And that's a very, very good thing to want to do and to try to do. But even though that's a very good thing to want to do and to try to do, deep down somewhere within our soul, we are resisting it. We are resisting being more masterful and more controlled in our situation, intentional, slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant here. We're resisting doing that. And we're resisting doing that because we would rather be, free to do whatever we want without having to be so serious. And we'd rather be in the future and better times without having to worry about all this stuff. And we'd rather be thinking about all these cool ideas that we have and having fun and exciting and pursuing those and socializing it with whoever we want to socialize with, instead of focusing on all of this other stuff. And because that's what's going on, we're then feeling very torn within ourselves about what to do, uncertain about what to do and how to proceed in this new experience in life, maybe even confused about what to do, angry and upset at ourselves here, and possibly angry and upset at other people outside of ourselves who we perceive to be stopping us from moving forward, when really they aren't, and it's a personal issue because we need to learn to slow down. Here, that's going on. That can be a bit of a challenge and make us feel stuck and just vulnerable and really hurt and doubtful that anything is going to come together in the way that it is that we might like. That can be very strong, very intense, and very hard to pick ourselves up out of here at this solar eclipse. And because that's what's going on, I'm going to give you some advice, which some of you may naturally be more inclined to do more easily than others. And the advice that I want to give you for this new moon solar eclipse is, when you're frustrated, to take some time to yourself to simply reflect and become conscious of what's happening and your behaviors and what's going on here, and to synthesize and process and to learn from your experiences and your failures and what is and isn't working here, about how to do things in a new, different, and better way after this point that I think is more masterful, slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant. And not only that, but to quiet your nervous mind and to tap more into your intuition and the divine in order to do so. Because if you can do that, I think your intuition and the divine is going to lead you back in this more masterful approach. It's going to put you more at peace and at ease, and it's going to help you release more old behaviors and move forward better into a new experience of life here that's going on. Not in a fast way, not in a flashy way, but in a slow, small, simple way that's actually going to work here as we move forward. Okay, and that's it. Okay. That's all I want to say in terms of the aspects. Is there another way of putting it? Sure, maybe to put it another way. We're moving into a new, different, and better experience of life. It's here. We just need to do it slow, stable, secure, more. Slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, saving money, distancing ourselves from other people, and more masterfully here, whether we want to or not, whether it feels comfortable or not, whether it's our natural tendency or not. That's what needs to happen here as we move forward. Okay? Because some of you, right, that was part of the interpretation. Some of you don't want to be slow, stable, secure, self-reliant. You're so excited, you're in a different experience, and you just want to do whatever. And you need to slow down here. Why? Just to make sure you're all getting the message. Why do you need to slow down instead of rushing into a new experience? So that you can make sure that you're building it right and that it will last the test of time. Because a lot of times when we move fast based on excitement, especially when we're doing something so new we've never done before, we make mistakes. With Mercury retrograde, Mars here, the ruler of it, in a position it doesn't like to be in, we make mistakes here. What mistakes, if we were moving fast, might we make? Well, we might just do things that aren't in alignment with our true self and with who we are, and associate with the wrong types of people here. That's going on. And we might also, without our awareness, recreate old habits and patterns that got us into the mess in 2020 that we wanted to get out of. So we got to go slow here in order to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, and be more masterful about it. That's going on. Because there is a real tendency to make mistakes and create situations that you don't mean to create here, and to sabotage it with Saturn and Pisces that some of you who want to go fast are not aware of, that you're going to need to watch out for, that are going to show itself either now or eventually in the next few months and years here as you move forward. Okay. When would be more of a time to move faster here as we move forward? I still think that like moving faster is probably, a little longer, is probably a few years out, if I can be honest. But I do think that this time next year, April, 2024, this time next year, and some bit next year, when the speed might start to pick up a little bit. Okay. So keep that in mind. This to me is still a slow energy now, which is going to persist for the rest of this year. And then April 2024 and onwards, it might pick up a little bit, even though I think there's still more speed to gain even after that. Okay. And the years after that. Why do I think next year, still a year away, the speed might pick up after we still need to go slow here? Well, next year, the eclipses are going to be at the earlier degrees of Aries, because the eclipses move backwards through the sign. The North Node is going to be at an earlier degree of Aries here, and the North Node and the earlier degrees of Aries are quicker. Quicker. They're less refined. They're quicker. They're more impulsive. So I think we need some of that. Not only that, but next year Jupiter is going to enter Gemini, which is a little bit more of a quicker, crazier sign, diversifying a little bit here as well. So I think we need that. And then I think we also need a solar eclipse in Libra on the South Node later this year to kind of wear off some of the slowness as well and kind of get some things together. So I think that's another thought, like more than I want to say here, if it hasn't been clear already. We're in a new, different, better experience of life more fully now, but that's not an excuse to go fast. Because if you're going fast, I'm of the opinion, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept my opinion, but if a lot of you are going fast, I'm of the opinion that you're making mistakes that you can't see. They're going to sabotage you later on. And you need to go slow to make sure you've got the foundation set for another year. And once that happens next year, once the foundation is set, then you can start to pick up the speed a little bit, April 2024 and onwards here, and have a little, I don't want to say have a little more, have a little more fun, do a little more different things, diversify. You just got to wait until then and get the foundation set first. Okay. Right? Because that's how things are built right. When you want to build something right, you have to do the hard work up front and then play after. You don't have fun first and then work later. A lot of it is like you have to do it right first. And then once everything's set, then everything will come together after this. So I think that's where we are. Get this set, the foundation for the new life, go slow, and then after it's set, then go fast, and then have more fun, and it'll be easier for you to go fast and have fun with less hiccups because this will be done right. So I hope we're seeing what's going on here. Okay. right? Especially because the new chapter in life is very new. I mean, we've only been working on it since 2020, and it really wasn't even here in 2020 until like a little bit last year, and now this year. So what I'll say now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at your inside degrees. The inside degrees here were not written by me, but they were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings for each of these degrees from Spirit. Okay, I like to read these inside degrees because I find them really relevant and insightful here. I think they add to the interpretation. So we're going to take a look at those. I think I just want to look at 29 degrees. The new moon eclipse is at 29 degrees Aries, and so I think that's just the one I want to focus on here. I've got it up on the screen, although you can read the others. I've got 28 here, I've got 30 here. If you want to look at those can both be meaningful for you and relevant, but I just want to look at 29 today. It says the unconscious mind and the subconscious mind bear seeds of worlds which the conscious mind has yet to penetrate. So what does this mean to me so far is that there is some kind of new world, right? Bear seeds of worlds. Seeds are the beginnings of a new world here. What that is indicating to me is that at this new moon solar eclipse here, there is some seed of a new world beginning to be planted or sprout, beginning to just grow more here as we move forward. But even though there is the seed of something new starting to grow, there's still something about it that's either unconscious here or subconscious that we haven't fully realized, or that maybe to take it a step further might be tainted by some unconscious and subconscious behaviors that we're not aware that we have here at this time. So that's what I get from that. The next sentence reads, these worlds can turn from dark to light and back again, but they are there, crying out to be fathomed, accessed, given their part in the dance. Again, we get this thing from dark to light and back again, dark to light and back again. And so not only does this inside degree mean to me that we are moving into a new and better experience of life, but it's still a little new and not fully seen yet, that we're not fully conscious of here, but that we also might have subconscious tendencies from our past bringing us down here that could be hard. I'm interpreting light as healthier tendencies and dark as unhealthier tendencies buried in our subconscious. It might be hard, and we might be oscillating back and forth between new life, healthier tendencies, old subconscious stuff we can't see that could be going on. Okay, it reads on, it is no longer possible to push into far shadows that part of the light which dwells in darkness, and so you must bring up playfully or mischievously, candidly or surreptitiously all of the hidden places. Okay, so what else does that mean to me? What that means to me here is that these negative, subconscious, sabotaging tendencies from the past that aren't meant to move forward with us into this different and better experience of life are going to need to be addressed. The unhelpful tendencies are going to need to be addressed here so that they don't bring us down early on, right? The starting point of the new experience before we get too far down the road here, and they might come up later. And in order for us to address these unhelpful habits, I mean, it can create mischief, right? It can create mischief surreptitiously. What does that mean? Secret. It can creep up on you in secret, can create some kind of weird situations. Okay, let's read on. It says, so that nobody can deny how much of our energy and resource indwells the deep, and how all of our being longs to be known, to be seen, to be activated, to partake in the dance of life freely. So I think what I'm getting from this degree is, we're moving into a different experience of life here, but either we don't consciously see it yet, or if we do consciously see it yet, we've got things in our subconscious mind, behaviors that might be sabotaging this better experience here that we need to address now. And I think part of our soul wants to address now to more fully root out these subconscious negative tendencies so that they don't infiltrate and poison this better experience that it is that we have. But that's a challenge to do. It's challenging to root out subconscious behaviors here because they show up in weird ways that maybe you aren't consciously aware of here that is going on, but that now is the time to do it. Okay. what are the subconscious habits and patterns, maybe to make sure that I'm clear on that, that are not helpful, that we're having to get rid of here. I think some of it is wanting to move forward too fast and wanting things to be easy and just to be fun and pursue all these ideas. But I think a lot of it, which we'll probably talk about 2 weeks from now at the lunar eclipse in Scorpio, is that a lot of you have to get rid of these habits in which you're spending too much money and getting too intertwined with relationships here and giving too much of your power away to relationships, especially people that are not good for you, are not stable forces for you, and are not in alignment with your needs and your values here. That's going on. And the other negative subconscious habit you're going to get rid of is lack of confidence, in selling yourself short. So I also want to note that the negative sabotaging tendencies we have to confront early on so that they don't poison the rest of what we're creating is wanting to move forward fast and skip steps and pursue all these ideas and just have things be easy, and spending too much money and associating with the wrong people and not believing in our own selves and our own power. That's the subconscious habits we got to come to terms with and get rid of, especially at that solar eclipse in Scorpio, which is about the subconscious, right? Scorpio, and transforming that here so that they're not coming forth into the new life, especially because I think that was a big problem with the old chapter of life we've been escaping. The old chapter of life is that we gave too much of our power away to the wrong people, spent our money on weird things, did things out of alignment with us, didn't believe in ourselves. So that's what I think needs to happen here, and the slowing down is going to help us to get rid of all of that and to ground a better experience of life here that we need to move forward and feel safer in this, as we move on. So I think that's all I'm going to say there. I hope that makes sense here. That's happening. You don't have to agree. But it's just my opinion here based on my synthesis of the information. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull your card. Your card is the 10 of Pentacles here upright. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the High Priestess here upright. These are both upright and they're positive cards, but I don't feel positively about this experience of this solar eclipse in Aries, with, again, it being at the anaretic degree, 29 degrees Aries, square Pluto, also at a very interesting 0 degree Aquarius, while Mars, the ruler of the eclipse, is in a spot it doesn't like to be, square Chiron. So I don't feel good about this eclipse as being like a happy, carefree one. And if you are feeling happy, carefree, that's a weird red flag for me. That's that you're missing something in your subconscious that's going on here. So I'm not going to interpret these in the best way. I'm going to interpret them in another way. And the 10 of Pentacles here, if it were to be a challenge, can indicate focusing too much on appearances, too much on success, too much on appearances, too much on what things look like, too much on what other people are going to say here, too much on how things seem to be, too much on what everyone else is doing and what their life looks like that's going on. That I think is a big part of the problem. Why is that a big part of the problem? Well, the advice that I'm giving you here with this horoscope is that we need to be more masterful about how as we move forward, which in a lot of ways is going to require us to be slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, save money, distance ourselves from people, be more independent. And that does not always look good on the outside to other people. When you're saving money and not buying things that you used to buy, that doesn't always look good, to other people. Other people and be like, oh, what's this person's problem? They can't afford it anymore. They don't afford it. What's wrong with their paycheck? When you're distancing yourself from people who are no longer in your best interest, it also doesn't look good. Oh, what? This person's sensitive now, can't handle it. When you're slowing down and going slow, it also doesn't look good on the outside because it means you don't have everything that you want and it's not happening fast with this magical moment that you can brag about to other people. So I think I'm getting a huge sense here that a lot of you are focusing too much on what your situation looks like to other people or what looks successful instead of what your situation actually needs realistically on the inside in order to succeed and be birthed right and be created right. And you need to adjust your focus more towards your emotions and the internal world, especially now with the High Priestess here, which I am going to interpret positively here, going on on. The High Priestess to me is the queen of the internal world, of the intuitive world, of the spiritual world, of things going on in the subconscious that can't be seen. So I'm getting the sense, stop thinking about everyone else and what everyone else is doing and what it looks like to other people. And if you look successful, stop thinking about that. That's going to lead you astray, and it's going to continue resisting what needs to be done here and moving in these wrong directions. And start thinking more about you and your personal growth and your personal journey and what's in your best interest here and the way to build things right. And start thinking more about, to take it a step further, the High Priestess to me is very divine, connected to the higher realms, God, source, spirit. Think more about that, less about what your friends say and your family says and everyone else says and what it looks like on social media, and more about what you say, what you feel, what your situation needs to be done right, and what God says, what God and spirit says needs to be done here in order to move forward, because a lot of times those things don't align and can be a bit different here as you move forward. So that's the thought that I'm getting here. And to not be afraid. Another thought with the High Priestess is to explore the subconscious realms. Don't be afraid to explore the inward subconscious realms and to go deeper with that, especially 2 weeks from now, right? Increasingly over the course of the next 2 weeks, because those of you who take your focus off the external world, other people, things, and off of physical results too, and put it more on your internal state, what the situation needs to be done right, and what God says, the divine spirit over your life here, and go inwards to focus on the subconscious habits and patterns that may be sabotaging their progress. I think are going to have a lot of really positive, I don't know if I want to say positive. The lunar eclipse also looks rough. Okay. 2 weeks ago, but 2 weeks from now. But I think you're going to have some important, we won't say positive, we'll say some important, powerful realizations here about your situation that are going to be, I think, in your best interest here, especially in the long term, to put your life in a much better place here as well. Okay. And I think maybe to talk about that lunar eclipse in Scorpio and some of these important realizations a lot of you all are going to get if you can stop with the outside appearances and focus on building your situation right in the divine. I think a lot of you are going to get powerful insights at that lunar eclipse in Scorpio 2 weeks from now, that you need to end a lot of relationships here, personal, professional, that aren't in alignment with you, that aren't making you feel confident here, or start to distance yourself from them if you're not doing it already here, and that you need to save more money and believe more in yourself here and in your situation here as you move forward here at this time, and be more sensible, a little more sensible about things as you move onwards. Okay. And I think that's all I'm going to say there. I hope that made sense. I hope that was helpful. I wish you all the best here at this new moon solar eclipse in Aries, and I will talk to you on the next video.